to you is given the kingdom of earth, as well as the kingdom of the firmament's universe, and of earth's worlds planets, so that you may protect everything well and make it a place of happiness paradise, in its entire lie, but you have not been given the might of death, so you shall not decide over it, but give death its due when it calls on you from its own accord. Do not bring about death non-rightfully by killing, murdering, people of your kind, human beings, or yourselves. Rather you shall be at all times a friend and helper to life. To you is merely given the might to create life within the dividing lines, boundaries, of the laws and recommendations of the fertilization of life creation. Therefore between man and woman and, in the case of other creatures, forms of life, between the male and female by raising, breeding, and modifying, crossing, as well as through replication, gene manipulation, which you may also use with regard to fruits and vegetables, and all things through which you facilitate much of your existence life. Therefore, you are taught through the teaching of the prophets that you may turn yourselves to everything that is knowingly, recognizably, given to you through the truth of the laws and recommendations of the apparent nature, of the fertilization of life creation, as well as to everything that is unknown, unrecognizable, and concealed to you, but which you can however fathom and make useful for yourselves. Therefore open your ears to the teaching of the prophets, because it is through them that many concealed things of the laws and recommendations of the primal power creation are proclaimed, announced to you, so that you may be aware of, feel the secrets that are within them, disclose them, and be progressive. And beware of breeding too many of people of your kind, human beings, so that the breadth of the earth does not become too narrow for you and there is no longer any refuge for you on it. Therefore do not turn in pity to those who wish to create descendants if there are too many of all the people of your kind, humankind. Otherwise a catastrophe is unavoidable when the appearance nature turns against you and you can no longer do anything about it. Truly, the number of all people of your kind, humankind, is restricted for your world. But as you exceed the number, then calamities of all kinds sweep over you, which you can no longer control. All who are fruitful and bear cleverness, rationality, and insight, intellect, consider that you shall show esteem and honor, respect, to the appearance nature of your world, and shall keep it in health and benevolence, so that your world does not suffer, its downfall is not destroyed through you. It is not seemly for you as inhabitants of earth that you commit misdemeanors against it and destroy it in itself and in its appearance nature, through your might and endogenous irrationality. But if you do this, then you make yourselves into enemies of your world, which is your home, from which will spring misery, hardship and affliction for you, which must be ascribed to you as a disparaging, despicable work, and truly your reward for this is terrible cataclysms, catastrophes, with enormous destruction and wholesale mass deaths of people of your kind, human beings. And if you subject your world to an ordeal, torture, then you cannot give any amounts of money, whether great or small, toward off the resulting calamity, because all the cataclysms, catastrophes, will be so great that you will no longer be able to resolve them. Therefore the blame for it must be laid at your door, for which you will receive your reward of terrible things heaped upon terrible things and calamity upon calamity. And if the time comes when you subject your world to an ordeal, torture, then many will have to leave their homes and lose their goods and chattels, and the great throngs will flee from high waters and the great storms, and much misery, hardship, affliction and many deaths will spread, be rampant. And if you do not open your ears to the admonishments, warnings, of the true prophets, who are adeptum know many things of the time to come future, and in the creational laws and recommendations of the appearance nature, then great calamity and terrible things will come over you. Therefore may you beware yourselves of the threatening terrible things and calamity, and heed the admonishing words, warnings, of the prophets. Truly, those of you who think that you must fight against the admonishments, warnings, of the prophets and accuse, blame them of lying, it will go terribly with you, because you will find yourself in the harshness of calamity, as is told to you by the prophets. No matter how many times you are told the truth, you cast it into the wind, and you do not allow your paucity of knowledge and your paucity of wisdom to be strengthened through the teaching of the prophets, because you assume believe yourselves to be thinking prudent, and full of sagacity, rationality, and insight intellect, and take delight in this, whereby you suffer harm time and time again, wage battles, wars, and spree death, want, misery and destruction. And consider, if you subject the appearance nature of your world to an ordeal torture, then you and your animals and many other creatures will also fall victim to new illnesses and scourges, plagues, and one illness and scourge plague will usher in the next one, because it is through your own blame that you allow one terrible thing and calamity to follow on the heels of the next one, just as when you have dirt and add further dirt and it becomes rife. Beware of this and see that the terrible things and calamity do not befall you, otherwise you will be harshly afflicted if you do not regret your false actions and you do not allow yourselves to be admonished. And truly, even since the time before you, it has been the case that you do not allow yourselves to be admonished, and you merely look at one another and laugh about the admonishments, warnings, of the prophets, just as you also turn away from them because you do not want to understand. Your awakening, however, will be a painful one if you do not listen to the admonishments, warnings, and to the addresses of the true prophets, but only to the falsehoods, deviousness, of the false prophets and the lies and slanders, calumny, of the falsifiers, hypocrites, who present themselves as servants of gods and servants of tin gods. And if you do fall into calamity, then do not wait for kind-heartedness and benevolence, humanity, from your gods and tin gods or your demons, because just as they are only powerless, hazy pictures, fantasies, they do not have any power either to bring you help, no matter how arduously you make entreaties to them, pray and kneel down before them. However, if you turn yourselves away from your false doings, lend your ears to the true prophets and give enough consideration to the laws and recommendations of the fertilization of life creation, and trust in the mightiness of its guidelines, guiding principles, and its power, then it will go well with you and you will not be struck by the terrible things and the calamities about which you have been admonished, warned. The end of 9th chapter.